Hello and welcome to Refskeggs Streaming Class, The Basics. In this series, or this video, I'm going to cover Streamyard, the tool that we use in Ontier for all of our live streaming, as well as some of the basics on how we get going, why we do what we do, and what our overall goals are for live streaming. This overall is going to be a series, and it'll cover the producer's job, getting your gear set up, and all that prep work that we have to do to really make these things run. So for now, I'm just going to give a brief introduction of myself. My name is His Lordship Refskegg of Housebred. I am an apprentice to Baroness Ashaxi. We're in the Barony of Stromgard in the Great Kingdom of Ontier. Last year, Ontier was able to have its first crown with COVID going on. It was very short notice. We had a perfect opportunity to do it. And the sisters interview, which Baroness Ashaxi and her sister Queen Rifkin was asked to film it and do the live stream for it. So I got brought in to help produce it. We originally tried to use Streamlabs, as a lot of people do, especially between two peers, loves doing that. Unfortunately, it does require a very powerful computer to use, which I do not have. So a good friend, Calbrand from Calbrand's Corner, reached out and said, hey, I use StreamYards. It's so simple and easy, it can be run from a cell phone. And that met my criteria. Really, one of my big goals is to make sure this stays simple so that anyone can do it, anyone can reproduce it. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and jump into this. Give me a second. I am new to all of this. And that's really the case. I am a cybersecurity engineer by trade. I do not know anything about live streaming or recording, any of that stuff, as you can tell by how fast I'm talking and trying to slow down. I'm also a hand talker. So the goals of live streaming, the on-site director, Gira from 12th Night, really brought this forward when we were trying to do our proposal, but the primary goal of live streaming is to bear good witness to all the amazing and awesome stuff that our people and our friends do. Bearing good witness means a lot of different things to different people. For a lot of people, when they get called up, their brain kind of goes blank. They're not sure what to do. They forget how to kneel or how to even talk or function as normal people. So going back and be able to hear all the nice, amazing things that people say about you is really, really wonderful. It's also excellent for letting people who aren't part of the SCA be there. We've had a few moments where people get elevated and their vigils or even the elevation ceremony itself is now available to friends and family that don't know what the SCA is, are out of town, out of state, whatever it is. So having that beautiful, wonderful moment that means so much to you be shareable to others is a wonderful, wonderful thing. And then we get into promotion to the public. This isn't quite bearing good witness, but it is a really important thing. With Facebook groups being private now, the SCA has kind of lost its outreach a little bit. We need to continue to evolve with a new medium. We're starting to get on Insta, we're starting to get on, SCA TikTok. And this is a real great way of doing that because the Facebook groups are going to be private, but the YouTube channels are still out there. And most importantly, most near and dear to my heart is the diversity, equity, and inclusion aspect. So with the pandemic, there are a lot of people, myself included, who, even though we've opened back up, can't go out still. I probably won't be able to do an event for many, many years. By the way, this is AS56, also known as 2022, so we're hopefully getting near the end of it. But because of my health risks, I just can't do it. And there's a lot of people doing it. SCA tends to be a little bit more aged population. That is also a concern. And in general, a lot of people aren't willing to risk that, or they can't risk that for their loved ones as well. Right now, our gas prices are also soaring. So with Ontier being a massive kingdom that stretches from the top of California, bottom of Oregon, all the way up through Canada, you're looking at a 12-hour drive with a trailer and full camp gear and all of that. So this is one way that makes it more accessible to people that don't have the means to be able to do that. With that DEI area also comes in things like closed captioning. For a lot of us sitting in the back of court, we don't get to hear what's going on. Having a live stream that you can plug in, even if it's a few seconds delayed, means you can actually hear and listen to what's happening. Or if you're like me and have hearing issues, you get closed captioning, and closed captioning is so wonderful. Okay, it's terrible. It does not understand our jargon, but it at least helps a great deal for people being able to sit in the back. There's another couple of issues that we definitely want to consider, in that we're a volunteer organization. When we run big events like a May Crown or a 12th night or a big court changeover, there are people running gate, there are people running lists, there are people manning checkpoints and working Merchants Row. All these people don't get to be involved in these great, wonderful moments. They don't get to know what's going on. You know, they're sitting in the back room furiously trying to get out scrolls that are going to go out in a few minutes. So these people are still get to be involved and still get to understand what's happening and see their friends and loved ones and bear that good witness. One of the other nice things is that fear of missing out, or FOMO. Ontario especially is a big, big kingdom, so there are times where we have conflicting events all up and down. They get 3 to 4 events on a weekend because it's a Memorial Day. So even if you have to go to one thing, or you choose to go to one thing, you can still go back and watch and see the awards and big moments that happen elsewhere. And another really, really great thing is the SCA is full of dedicated, well-meaning, determined people. And a lot of times that means that we're still going to go even if we're sick, because we don't want to miss something. This gives them a little bit more of an option to stay home, and, you know, they may not be there for this person's vigil or elevation, but they can still view it. And that might mean the difference between somebody else staying healthy. I think we're all familiar with the, con crud or event crud that comes afterwards. And then last but not least, one of the nice things that live streams do is it doesn't require anything from us. A lot of people have struggled with the Zoom virtual ESCA aspect, because we are already zoomed out. We've been doing it for 40 hours a week for work or school or what have you. And for a lot of us, that interaction just doesn't work. It's hard to be heard. There's people talking over each other. And then we have to make sure our house looks okay, which is also a DEI issue many times. We have to make sure our hair is good, or our clothes are looking fine, or you have to go back and shave. There's a lot of different things that go into it. And then if we turn our camera off so we don't have to worry about those problems, then we also have that feeling of missing out, and we're part of something, but we're not. We're the kid standing in the corner at the dance. Livestream gets rid of that pressure, because you just put it on. If you don't want to watch, you turn it off. No one's going to notice that you've had to turn it off, or that you've turned it back on. No one's going to notice that you're sitting there in your pajamas, or that you've gone off to go get some food, or you've taken a break, that you're petting a dog, whatever. It's something that you get to just enjoy, and can take that missing aspect that so many of us are getting and just enjoy it. It's like watching TV. We know how to deal with that. We know how to process those emotions. And really, the emotions are a big thing of it. Some of the favorite pieces that I hear coming out are the pictures of people swearing fealty on their TVs when we change over King and Queen. Those are huge moments for a lot of awesome people that have dedicated their lives to this, that can't make it for whatever reason. And we give them that opportunity to still be involved and still feel like they're doing something. All right, so that kind of covers the bearing good witness and the goals of live streaming. So really one of the big goals of my production and my ideas behind all of this, and my framework, as I've come to call it, is that I want this as simple as possible. I want something we can reproduce. I want something that any shire or canton should be able to achieve as cheap and easily as possible. We should be able to take what we do and basically give it to anybody and have it function. So that's one of my main goals. And with that said, we are going to flip over to Streamyard, which is the tool that I utilize to make this happen. And again, this is something that Calbrand showed me. And I'm going to take myself off so we can see just that. Streamyards is a really awesome tool. There are a few others out there like it. There's Melon, there's Rstream, and everything has a few different capabilities. I like Streamyards for a couple of reasons, and I'll get to those shortly. It is a cloud-hosted streaming studio. It's called an OBS, or Open Broadcast System. And the great thing about it being cloud is that all of the effort and processing power is done on the back end. It's done elsewhere in a data center. So you don't have to worry about it. You can run this off a cell phone if you have to, and Cal had to. So we're going to go over StreamYard and what it looks like. Again, I'm in the Barony Volunteer, so you're going to get to see some of the fun behind the scenes stuff of that. First and foremost, this is the page that you're going to land on after you've already signed in. And this is our upcoming events, and this really isn't true because I've got more to put in there, as well as all of our past events. And you can go back and view all of these. They're going to stay on Facebook and they're going to stay on YouTube. Go back and watch them at your leisure. And if you look down here in the bottom left-hand corner, you can see your recording storage option. That's one of your limitations, so be aware. We are getting to the point where we might have to delete some of this. All right, I'm going to go ahead and let's talk destinations. So destinations are the locations that you're able to stream to. Right now we utilize primarily Facebook and YouTube. As you can see, I have more than a few destinations here, and it does give you this lovely little warning if you do have to remove any of them. Destinations, again, are all the locations you stream to. You can stream to, I think, 12 at one time with the higher tier plan. There are 3 tiers, and I'll cover those later. But usually you're going to be looking at 4 or 5, probably a Kingdom page for YouTube, maybe even a Baronial page for YouTube, and then a Kingdom Facebook and a Baronial Facebook. We're going to cover how to add a destination, because I should have. Again, you can see all the permissions issues. Nice thing about StreamYard is they have all these videos that cover all of this stuff already, so you don't need to. If you need more help, you can find it easily through there. So Principality of the Summits, we have Summits CoreNet coming up real soon, so they're the ones I'm going to be adding today. Now, in order to add it, you do need to be an admin, whatever account your StreamYard account was set up under, which is my Facebook profile. You need to be an admin. You can't be a moderator, anything like that. You have to be an admin of that page. So that's something to work out with your Seneschal and your social media officer on how you can make that happen. But now that I have Principality of the Summits, you saw how quick and easy that was to add. I can reconnect, I can remove. So those are destinations, and we'll come a little bit more to them later. One of the nice things about StreamYards, we do have a members feature down here. Now this is adding additional people to your roles. I'm going to remove them real quick. Sorry, everyone. This is the original owner. You can add extra people. It does start costing a little bit more. One of the nice things though is you don't need to. If I'm running a production and I have myself and my backup producers, we can all sign in as the on-tier streaming account. We can all sign in as one. I don't think there's a limit. We've had like 4 or 5 people in there at one time. I do recommend you have a team helping you, so you should have backup producers, moderators. Everyone should be able to sign in real quick and easy. There shouldn't be any conflicts. Just one of the awesome features. It is great for this remote dispersed team. So we are going to go ahead and enter a studio. I'm actually going to go to one of our past streams so that we can see our full feature set and go over our comments. So we're going to take a quick look at 12th Night Heavy Practice that was done on Sunday because it has some comments already pre-populated and I want to be able to share all of that with you. Now when we hit this little menu, we can see the Enter Studio. We can also see how to view it on Facebook and on YouTube. So we just click that link and it pops up here. So we can make sure our events are running. We can quickly find and access it ourselves, or if anyone has questions, we can make sure that they can get to it as well. So let's cut that real quick. And we're going to jump back into the studio. And there's a real important distinction between studio and stream, and we'll get to that right away. First off, when someone goes to enter into the studio, kind of like with the Zoom, they're going to be prompted, do you want to be muted, stop camera, settings, etc. So you can check your settings, real nice and easy. Now I want to take this moment to point out one of the drawbacks to running it within Chrome. Your computer, or most computers, like to take control of a camera and give it to one specific location. So right now, the software I'm using to record all of this has control of my camera. Zoom will do the same thing. Zoom will take control of your camera. Chrome will also take control of your camera. Because StreamYards runs in a Chrome browser, it has control. So what you're actually seeing now is me on my laptop camera, because my main camera that's up here is being used by the capture software I'm using. Something to be aware of if you're trying to run multiple things at once. Maybe join Zoom through a Chrome browser, or use a Facebook video call if that's how you're going to make these little tweaks work. This is the same screen that someone joining in remotely will see, not as an admin. You get to set your display name, you can mute, stop camera, etc. And of course you can check your mic volume. We'll go into the setting option a little bit later because the admin has a lot more. So I'm going to go ahead and enter into the studio, and Raven or Jadwiga made this beautiful background for us. She did all of the ethereal backgrounds for Sven and Rifkin. And as you can see, we've got these little grayed out boxes down here. Now this is the difference between in studio and in stream. So if you're just in studio, which is what we're in right now, you don't show up on the feed and you can't be heard. However, you can still hear others. This is really good for the virtual awards when we want the awardees to be ready to be pulled in, but we don't want to have to message them because that's a lot of work to do. So they're going to hear when their name gets called, and they're going to be ready then to get pulled into screen. So I'm going to go ahead and add myself into screen, or into stream. Sorry, let me correct that. And you get a nice, lovely shot of my office. It's a lot of fun. We built it. It was great. There's my wife's helmet. Oops. Her helmet. My helmet. Simon Dork, what do you want? I'm not a professional. Okay, so once we're in studio, the first thing you're probably going to need to do is invite others to join you. I've already invited another version of myself down there. But if you go to invite and you can copy to clipboard, this is how other people join you. This is how your guests get in. This is how even your other admins can get in. So you can have up to 10 people on screen at once. And I believe you can have up to 12 people in the studio. Again, this depends on your plan. That can become a limitation when you have 4 different cameras and 5 different producers. Something to be aware of. It also becomes important if you're doing a virtual court and you have 20 different people that have been asked before, their majesties. You might need to break them out into waves. Something to be aware of, and I'll cover a lot of that more later. This is one of the great things. You get a private link, and this is how you get to join in. So this kind of prevents Zoom bombing where people can just drop in. Plus, Streamyard isn't totally on the radar like Zoom does, so you don't get as many people trying to do that. So this is your private link. This is how people will join you in the studio. Even if you do get bombed of sorts, you can just not add them to the stream. That is a feature to turn off, that they don't auto add. And that's a great feature to do. All right. One of the nice things as well is that the studio will stick around after you have left as admin. So even if I were to leave studio right now, my second computer is still up and running. It still sees everything. So your guests can keep going. This is great if you lose power or whatever you need. We're going to jump back in. Again, we get to see all that. Excellent. This is going to be a little bit different for a user versus a non-user, or an admin versus a non-admin. Really, for non-admin, you're going to see, I believe, comments as well as private chat over here on the side. And you're just going to get this little bar. It's a little bit more limited, and we'll see whatever's up here. You don't get all these fun extras. So there is that difference. That means that if you've got a bunch of banners with a lot of really great awards, you can add people in, and they're not going to be able to see it unless they're signed in as admin. So we've got our 2 people in, and I'm going to go ahead and add myself to the stream first. There we go. And then I'm going to add my producer laptop to the stream as well, so that we have 2 people. And you can see the different layout options. Just like within Zoom, you can kind of change how that works. So I'm going to go into solo mode real quick. Solo mode is a really great feature, especially for what we try to do. You can click solo mode, which is this little layout right here, this little gray button. And whoever you click on it is going to go into that full screen area. So this is how we keep our court cams up and running, where we don't have to remove and add other people to stream. Because if you've been added to the stream and you're on a setting like this, you're automatically going to show up. If you're on a share screen setting, that's also going to happen. So being able to do solo layout is great. It gives you that quick, this is what you should be looking for. Right now, I also run it in a cropped mode, and this is something you can find down here in the settings. We're going to go to it real quick. Go to Layouts, Crop Solo Mode to show background image. So we can turn that off, and it's going to look like this, which most of us are used to from our Zooms. And then we're going to turn it back on. We get it like this. I prefer this one. I think it looks a little bit cleaner, a little bit more professional. So this is what I tend to utilize. Plus, we can show off our beautiful backgrounds. Now, this is going to be one of the harder jobs as a producer, is trying to juggle your different camera angles. We're going to cover that a little bit later. I'm just going to do a real quick run through of what all of these different features are. So we have our solo layout, and then we have our cropped layout. This is really good for fighting. It gives you kind of a quick zoom up onto people. Zooming within this whole setup is a little bit hard, so keep that in mind. But this gives you that nice up close view. Then we've got this shot, which is one that I tend to use the most. This is how I put both my fighting Erics up, or this is how I'll do a processional cam and a court camera up at the same time. I really like this setup. When we do virtual courts, this one kind of becomes the one that I like the most, because we can get either the awardee and then the royalty speaking, or vice versa. That's an important thing to note as well. If we were to trade, it's just a drag and drop. Real easy, real simple to drag and drop people over. So if we go into full screen, it's going to default to what is now position 1 camera. Nice and easy. All right, I'm going to show you how to add a share real quick so I can talk about the different options there, and then we'll cover more on that a little bit later. So again, whatever is in position 1 is going to be that main big icon. So we're going to add this into our stream, and it's going to default to whatever you had last. So this is what it defaulted to. Sorry, Jostin, you get to show off your award, or I do. And you can see we've got both of them stacked up here on the side, and we'll potentially get more if we had more of them. You can do this mode as well, where again, whatever's in your primary position is going to get the big screen, and the awards can get the small one. I like this one for virtual courts. We get to see the awardee, we get their reaction, which is what this is all about, bearing good witness. If the royalty or nobility are still speaking, this is a good option as well. And we can do the picture-in-picture, which can be good for some court layouts, and especially if you need multiple two-way communication going on. Last but not least, you can do a full screen. One of the really cool features of Streamyard is that if we were to go back to a normal layout, a non-share layout, like this one, that share is still there, so we can easily jump right back over to it. So feel free to play around with those, understand them, know when it works best, know when it doesn't. I'm going to remove that, put my pretty face back up, and we're going to start going through the different options down here at the bottom. So we're all used to mute, unmute. That one's pretty simple and easy. Now as a producer, or as an admin, I can go in and edit my name, edit my audio avatar, stop camera and mic. I can do that to other people as well. I can edit the name, and I can edit their mic settings. If the microphone is remotely muted, such as my producer laptop, so I don't get an echo, I don't have a lot of options. I can't unmute them. You can't unmute your guests, and that's a good thing. We don't want to be able to do that. And I can't edit their settings. I can still edit their name, however. So I'm going to pause real quick. All right, so I've turned off the microphone. I'm hoping I'm not going to get too much echo and feedback here. But now I have the option to mute my remote participants. So if you're running a virtual court, or if you're running a fighting event, this is great, because now I can go and say, hey, we don't want that microphone right now. I'm going to mute that, but I still want to see that image, and I'm going to go to my shotgun mic that picks things up much, much better. And then we also have that function of edit mic settings. So echo cancellation, I always leave echo cancellation on. Automatically adjust mic volume. This is one of the things that I like about Streamyard, so that we can do this. So if I were to hit automatically adjust mic volume, it's going to do what it needs to pick up sound. And we don't always want that. When we have a shotgun mic pointed at the royalty, it's going to pick up everything it can. So we might need to crank that down a little bit so that we're not hearing that extra conversation. We don't want to hear the court coordinator leaning in and whispering, hey, so-and-so's vigil is up next. Because now that surprise is ruined, and that's one of the things we want to try. That's one of the goals and one of the points of bearing good witness is we don't want to ruin surprises. We don't want to ruin big moments as much as we try to support big moments. One of the things to keep in mind, and again, I'll review this later on the production side, but when you do adjust the mic volume, make sure that the pickup's good for heralds and the royalty. Also make sure that your closed captioning isn't picking up more than it should. Closed caption might pick up the court coordinator whispering around, so sometimes you do just have to mute the mic. Another quick thing that you're going to get a lot of is, let's go into settings. So all things to keep in mind. And we're going to go over to cam real quick, stop camera. Now it seems like nothing happened, but really the stop camera that we just used is the reason why I'm in Streamyards. If you see this right here, we have a little audio avatar, or we have that little, that audio avatar. Like you get on Zoom, you can put up a picture of yourself to look all professional so you don't have to, actually dress up. That feature is found here in the general settings. That's available only to an admin. Now, if I were to turn on audio avatars, we're going to get this nice blank space. This is the key. If we have a shotgun mic that is just running on this, we need to be able to turn off the camera because it's just probably a laptop camera that's pointed down at the laptop because the laptop's closed. We don't want to waste all that screen space. This is important screen space. So we want to turn off audio avatars. Again, that is why we utilize Streamyards over some of the other competitors, is because of that single feature. So make sure you know and understand that feature. Use it when you need to, but otherwise I don't recommend it. All right, and we're going to jump back into our settings option and then up to our audio. Nope, I'm going to pause that. Now we're going to get into the camera settings. So one thing to be aware of when your remote team is setting up, make sure they understand how to do this and make sure you understand as well. You can choose your camera. If you're trying to use a GoPro, they really like defaulting back to when you're trying to plug them into a laptop. The laptop wants to keep jumping back to its integrated cam. So make sure you know how to change these around. If you're doing something real fancy like a Streamlabs OBS virtual webcam because your computer can handle it, that's a good thing to know as well. Now I jump to my Logitech StreamCam and we're going to go look at this little error up here. This is that error that says that, hey, you're using Skype, you're using something else that has control of your camera and microphone. So you need to be aware of that. That's not a great thing. Functionally, it won't be able to work. You can see I dropped off the stream. I've got this weird little audio thing here. They can still hear you. Word of advice, they can still hear you. So you can give them guidance and instructions. We're going to go back to my integrated cam, which is on my laptop, and that's the one showing me. And one of the things to be aware of as well is your frame rate. That can also affect your high definition or how chunky things get, even if your definition is fine. If you're running a Logi StreamCam like I am, you can get up to 60 frames per second, which is really good. That's what most TVs, aside from a 4K, are going to be able to handle. Advanced gaming monitors might be able to handle it. For bulk of time, 60 frames is the top that you're going to need. GoPros can go beyond that. I think they can do like 400 frames per second. And really when frames matter is for movement. So they matter the most for fighting. You want to try to get webcams that have 60 frames or GoPros or cameras that can do 60 frames per second focused on your fighters when you're doing that. If you need to use something that can only do 30 frames, you're probably not going to catch anything, especially if you're already experiencing bad internet connection or connectivity problems. But where possible, get that higher frame rate, especially for fighting. And we're going to go down to our audio section. I just want to showcase the rest of this. Again, backup in general is where we get our audio avatars. It's great for voiceover work. Down here is where you can see what your different options are. So here are your microphones. If you're plugging in a shotgun mic or using a Yeti mic like I have, be aware that your laptop probably wants to default back into its integrated mic if that mic is not already set as your default. And of course your speakers. You can see all the different display options. We have our echo cancellation, stereo audio. No idea what that does. Again, it's not my jam. I'm not an audio guy or a video guy. I am someone who likes playing with sticks and swords. And automatically adjust mic volume. Virtual backgrounds. The virtual backgrounds isn't as good as Zoom is. You can try to get them on there. It takes up a ton of extra processing power. It's very slow. It's best if it works best with a green screen. I'm not going to let it go. It's so slow. And again, my computer is running a lot right now. Your mileage may vary. I just don't recommend using them. Most people by now have some kind of real quick backdrop they're going to throw up or just go into a corner of a room. Hotkeys. These are really, really helpful. I didn't use them the first few times and I'm starting to enjoy them more and more. So I recommend you find the stuff that you're doing frequently. Enter full screen, exit full screen. For me, it's shifting the different layouts, especially like the screen layout one here. So Shift 6 back to Shift 1 for solo layout. Real quick things to help to understand and get used to. Again, here's our crop solo layout image, and that changes. You can see in the background a little bit. Boop, boop. And last guess. See viewer comments. This is really, really great for if you do have an in-studio host who's trying to talk over talk to something, or if you're doing a fashion show or a show and tell or a class, letting the guests see those comments is awesome. It means they don't have to worry about all the other, you don't have to sign as an admin and see all your banners and branding and all that extra stuff that might slow them down or make it harder. They get to see the comments and they get to respond. Play a sound when guests enter. Leave it on. I like it. It lets me know when someone joins, especially if you're doing the virtual courts where you've got 20 people that need to join in. Guests must authenticate. I don't like using this option just because it adds an extra layer of technical difficulty, another layer you have to try to troubleshoot while you're doing it. It's not recommended by me. And now we're going to go on to share. This is a really awesome feature. It's very similar to what Zoom can do. It's got a couple of extra nice things. Slides is a new feature, and overall, Streamyard is constantly improving. It's fairly new, and they're getting better and better in releasing new features. So I always kind of check things out, follow their website, their Twitter or Facebook, and you can see what's coming. Slides is a new feature. It's not one we had before. And I'm going to go ahead and put this out here. So you can see I've got it in studio, not added to stream. And I'm actually going to do a second one. I don't know if there's a limitation to how many of these you can share. I think it butts up against that 12 things in studio at once. As you can tell, I've got 3 of these going. Remove because I just want the one. So add to stream. We've already kind of covered how the solo layouts work. Great thing about being an admin is you get the option to change slides up here on the big screen as well as down here. And you can even jump through it on there if you need to go from 2 to 15 real fast without, speed clicking through and making people a little nauseous. And you can solo layout just like the other ones, nice and easy. I'm going to remove that, and we're going to go back to some of our other share options. This is another new feature. It's really awesome. I don't know if I can do it right now because I don't have extra cameras. Yep, we can't. So I've actually gone and plugged in an extra webcam to the producer computer, which is also signed in as an admin. I'm very fortunate that the company I work for makes stuff like this, so I have just a lot of it. Now it looks a little weird because we've got so much picture-in-picture, and I'm going to stop that as soon as I can here. But what we're going to do is we're going to share that extra camera from here, just so you can see what it looks like when it pops up. There you go. Just like with the regular cameras, you get the option to choose which one you want, as well as your definition, and then you just hit share. And just like before, it's down here at the very bottom. We can rename it to Producer 2. You see, and it will rename both of them, so that's something to be aware of. And we're going to go ahead and add that to stream. Now again, you can see I have 3 different cameras and my share options going at the same time. We get a lot of fun echo if I didn't have everything muted. Again, thing to be aware of, make sure you mute everything you don't need. When you do utilize the extra camera, make sure everyone knows that you need to just switch to layouts or turn off the camera settings remotely rather than remove them out, especially if you're working with cameras and mics combined. So if I were to remove Producer 2 because I don't want them on stream anymore, I've now taken out Producer 2's audio as well. I'm going to go ahead and stop that because you don't need to see 3 of me. And I'm going to stop screen just like you do with a normal share. So that's extra camera. It is very, very helpful if you're on limited gear. You can get 1 laptop, a 15-20 foot extension cable for USB, and put the other camera up behind for your nice overhead shot that everybody loves. All right, after extra camera, we're going to go down to video file. So we have our videos that we're going to upload from our site locally. Now the videos need to be in MP4 format. So it's one thing to be aware of if you do get a video and you need to convert it from an AV format or whatever it is. You can utilize Handbrake. It's a free tool. It's pretty simple, easy. It's what I used for mine. So we're going to go ahead and share Luviga because she's wonderful. And it's going to pop up down here. Now it does not automatically start playing. Just like when people join, it has to be added into the stream. It's just in Studio. You can, of course, edit its name. We're going to go ahead and add to stream. Now it should start playing almost immediately. Sometimes there's a little bit of a delay, and that could also be based on your system. Now this is a really important thing to note. There are 2 options to get videos to play on screen. You can do the share file, like what I'm doing now, or you can do a video option over here in branding. And we're going to cover why I don't like video clips over here in branding a little bit later. So for now, just know that I do recommend you use the share video file. And some of the reasons I recommend that is as the producer, and you only producers will see this aspect, you can pause, you can jump forward or backwards as needed, and you can change the volume. A lot of the videos that I use don't have consistent volume. These videos were made by Mistress Izzy in Ontier, and they are pulled from the Sisters interview and compiled together, which was a really wonderful, lovely service all those people did for us. So sometimes the audio quality differs based off of what the interviewee had available. And to be a little bit extra, I actually make a spreadsheet that has all of the videos listed in their name, has their run duration, it has the audio quality, so I know if I need to raise or lower them, as well as it has notes about what we're talking about. Ludwig talking about when they created the line of Ontier, which is a really great award for us. So as I said, you can pause and change volume, play, and you can do all of that down here as well. And we can even have slides ready to go. But if we were to jump back over to there, the video stream is going to go away. So we're going to remove from that. I'm going to remove from Studio, remove from Studio. And we're going to jump into the next bit. And please note that echoes because I have my speakers running. It won't happen during the normal video. Last, we're going to go to share screen. This functions just like Zoom. You can share entire screens, you can share just windows, even down to Chrome tabs. This is a real great thing. You can share tab audio. Before, you used to be limited to just sharing system audio, and this was how I used to play music. So I'm going to go to screen 2. You're going to see a little glimpse behind the magic here. And I'm going to pull up apologize if this part gets a little laggy. I'm putting a lot of strain on my computer right now. So I have my playlist, and when you're getting music from people, make sure you have their permission to play it. Make sure you display their names and the song titles and their banners. And then also, if you're going to reuse it, make sure you have permission to reuse it. So this is La Volta from Kinzara, who was just elevated to Laurel and her awesome husband Malik. And this is kind of the trick here. So if you're going to do the share screen, you have to click that share system audio button. You're going to share it from there. So this almost has to be on its own separate screen. We're going to go ahead and hit play, and we're up and still like this. Super real loud. I'm not going to do that for forever. I'm just going to try to keep it real quick. Now the downside is this is a share screen, so it wants to stay up here like this. If we go over to here, it jumps back to there. We can play, and it should still be coming through as audio. Now, I've had a lot of difficulty with this in the past. Getting the audio to stream at a point where the live stream is able to hear it usually means I have to turn my speakers way, way far up. I can't get to pipe through a headphone. It keeps not working when I do that. And playing with, wonderful loud music a couple inches away from my face for 20 minutes at a time when we're trying to fill dead air isn't awesome. That share audio in the tab is another great feature. I can't say if it's going to work any better or any worse because I feel like this is an individual thing to my setup. I know other people have had much better luck. So test that out beforehand. Play with it. Jump between the... Let me stop my screen. You can only share one screen at a time. Play out between the share system audio or the share tab audio in Chrome. It really depends on your setup and your gear. And again, I think this is a brand new feature. I have not played a lot with it. I tried it once and I got kind of the same effect. So keep learning, keep exploring. I'm going to take care and close a few things here. I do want to showcase some of the stuff that I find awesome and amazing. I'm going to showcase my Excel sheet real fast. And add it into Stream. So this is one of the things that I love doing. You can see the Brave and Bonnie host, all that fun stuff. All of my lengths, my themes, my times, etc. And now we're going to go on to the real fun part. We're going to go on to comments. Comments are a wonderful, beautiful way to build engagement with your community. Let's go down and find one. Here we go. Thank you for this live feed. This looks like so much fun. These are the wonderful, wonderful moments that you can showcase and build the engagement. And so I'm trying to find some good, fun comments. This is a real cool one. If you've got fighters, you can talk about, this came from us. We had people asking who was fighting. We were trying to stay on top of it, and we're just going to talk about it. So we have Edward Vikingson, Squire to Vic in the First Nations kit. This is an amazing, beautiful kit of First Nations people. It's a full fighting kit, and I encourage you to go out and find this person. They're wonderful. Again, you have just fun little engagements and comments. Make sure your producer and your moderator, I suggest a separate moderator, are working together so they know when they should be sharing it or should the producer. The fun things that you can do is StreamYard will aggregate comments from all of your different feed sources. So if you're going to YouTube as well as Facebook, it's going to aggregate it all in, Twitch, Insta, any destination, it'll pull them all together. And you can see here this little yellow or this little blue F for Facebook. That means that's where the comment came from. Now, right now we're set to all. So if we were going to respond, we would respond to everybody out. Whether on YouTube or Facebook, you're going to see that information. But we can select specific destinations down here. And this is how you're going to show up as speaking. So whoever is in the position of moderator needs to understand that this is a official position, Kingdom voice. And this is how it's going to show up. You're going to see Kingdom Volunteer, you're going to see the other people. And if you respond on Facebook, you just respond on Facebook. I like responding all. Usually if you're giving good information, everyone should have it. So you do have different options between Facebook and YouTube, and I wish I had a few more YouTube comments. You can delete comment or block user. On YouTube, you can give them like 15-minute bans as well. If you're doing a big event, a 12th night, a court changeover, a crown tournament, I really recommend you have a separate moderator. This is going to be a big job, and we want to get that engagement and community going, and this is the way that we do that. So if you are going to do it on your own or just with a backup producer, make sure everyone knows whose job is what. And if you do have your moderator, make sure they have or know where to get answers. Who is that person? How many people at gate do we have? All that fun stuff. So we're going to go off of comments onto banners. Banners is really an awesome feature. A lot of different things have it. Melon has it. Streamyard has it. And what I like is you can build them out into specific folders. So I have my Kingdom banners for all of my kind of typical stuff. And then I have my different award banners. One banner, always and forever. If you're not watching this from On Tier, you may not know what it is. But within On Tier, we have a tradition of a buffet. I know some other kingdoms do it as well. Usually this is done by knights. However, it can be done by any elected order. So the buffet is a physical strike. Like your king's going to haul off and smack you. Usually people need to be braced a little bit. That's violence. That's violence in a situation where you may not be expecting it. We're not armored. Your opponent's not armed. They don't get a strike back. It can be really hard to watch, especially if you go expecting a fun, fancy court and all of a sudden someone gets slapped. Really, really important that you get a content warning for buffets up. This is the one that I use. I really like it. I think it clearly defines what we're looking for. Buffet, consented violence. We want to let people know that, hey, this is the thing parties have agreed to beforehand. There's a lot of different things about buffets. Your job as someone running this is to, keep this up here or to build something like this to your own need. If you have other situations are coming up, make sure you get content warnings for those as well. Content warning for super foul language. If you have a comedy troupe that is known for very, very inappropriate, very, very risque things, it's great to warn people like, hey, maybe pull small children out of the room. Especially be aware, violence against women is such a huge, huge problem in our world, and violence against men is also a massive thing. But especially if you have a female knight or someone going up to get elevated, just show this ahead of time. Make sure you know. We got ours up about 10 seconds before the slap happened for October Crown because we were not prepared for it. We didn't realize it was going to happen. And that's one of the things that I wish I had done a little bit better. So please, please, please get content warnings, think things through. All of this will come out later when you're doing your producing and your prep work. But this is one of the most important things we can do. And this is the one time where it's more important to be early than late. All right, so I'm going to hide that and go on to slightly more fun and upbeat stuff. Great things to have. Long live King Sven, long live Queen Rifkin. They are our current king and queen. Make sure you spell their names right. I don't know if Rifkin's name is right. Have a kingdom, cheer. Have a court is set to begin in 30 minutes. Court will begin shortly. This is a really cool feature we have, which is a little ticker across the bottom, just like a typical news or broadcast. And you can, as you see, stack the comments, which is really great. And they're easy to just hide. Heritage Minutes created by Mistress Izzy and compiled from Sisters interview series. Thank all the people, give that courtesy, give that grace and notification and thanks to all the people that make this happen. She spent tons of time building this and trailers, and it's just wonderful. I have banners for all of my musicians, or I will have banners for all of my musicians. So thanking them and giving them the credit. This is a really nice one that I like using a lot as well. Please share your photos using hashtag Ontier Arts and Sciences or hashtag 8 Golf Wars. I know 8 isn't Golf Wars, but maybe do 8 Golf Wars so you can see all your friends. And of course, hashtag MySCA, because our goal is not just to grow our own community, but to grow the society in general. And the more people we can get using that hashtag, the more interaction, the more visibility we gain. Using hashtag SCA isn't as great because that stands for a lot of stuff like Southern Coffee Association and different company brands. If you've ever tried to follow hashtag SCA on Instagram, you know it doesn't come up great. So hashtag MySCA, I'm not sure who started it. Props to whoever did. It's a great one to use. Again, this is the stuff that builds the community. If you can get your people posting these photos, you can start resharing on social media. You can share them on here using your share screen option. When we did October Crown, we had people painting their faces in their friends' heraldic colors and sharing pictures of that. And so we played those, we displayed them. And it's great. It builds community. It makes people feel more engaged, and it makes the live stream feel livelier. Have your 3 cheers, your joyous noise, and again, tickers for that. We are live. I like throwing that up in the beginning, just because, it's a good thing to have in the beginning. And this is another thing that you will need to check with your seneschal, your local laws, your social media officer. And on tier, we are not required to display the bullying and harassment policy because this is not really a very interactive event. It's not like a Zoom meeting or a Zoom classroom breakout. You're not actually on site. So we're not required to display it. However, I like to display it as well. We'll post the same thing in the comments. And we even have for big events, we'll actually put up words with the harassment policy. Again, it kind of it's good to do. It's better to be safe than sorry. Always cover your butt. And on the cover your butt option, you'll never get in trouble for putting up a content warning. There might be issues. People might be upset if you don't. So just do it. All right, creating a banner. Real quick and easy. This is a banner. If I can type. Boom. And it doesn't automatically display, so you do have to click show. And you can edit it and turn it into a scrolling banner or a ticker with just a button click. It's super easy. That's why I love this platform, is because it's very, very simple. It's very intuitive. Hiding the different folders or having different folders is probably the trickiest thing about banners. And you can duplicate, rename, delete. I'm going to go into Kingdom Arts and Sciences. We had a lot of really awesome awards going out. So Decimus Varius Felix is granted the carp. That's granted the Order of the Carp. That was my bad. And here you go. I like to organize these all into their own separate folders. I organize them in the order they will be showing up in. And it's one of the more important jobs, though. And here's a great thing. If you change out of that folder, you get this little hide current banner button. So you don't have to try to dig back and find wherever that one came from. So real quick and easy to hide it. Banners are just like slides for awards. There's something that you need to be very precise on. It's better to be late than early when posting up a banner. It's better that the herald has time to announce what award the recipient is getting than you just splashing it up on the screen for everyone and their mother to see. And some of the ones that I recommend, court is set to begin, those call to arms or call to action, whichever your kingdoms like to do, huzzahs, 3 cheers, a joyous noise. Court is set to begin is such a great one to have. If you can give a time limit, give a time frame. Court is set to begin shortly means it could be 5 minutes, it could be 15. Do I have enough time to run to the bathroom? Can I run out to the store and grab something to drink? So try to help your people out. Lastly, we're going to move over onto branding. Well, not lastly, but branding. I'm actually going to leave a banner up real quick because I think it'll be important for branding. So you can have different brands. I've got a brand for a local barony. I've got a brand for on tier. You can choose your color, which of course is how your banners and comments and things show up on. You can choose your different themes. And that gets into show display names, which is just this little button here. So you can see how down here we have Refskegg and Producer 2, but we don't have anything up here. If I turn that on, nothing's going to happen. Display names are always hidden when showing a comment or banner. This is why I say anyone can do it, because if I can do it, anyone can do it. So now you can see my name is popping back up there. I usually like to leave display names off unless it's a purely virtual court, and that way everyone can see and know who everyone is. Otherwise, people don't need to know that, you know, microphone 1, shotgun mic, camera 2, court cam. They don't need to know that information. And again, we've got display names, we've got the different blocks. Please be aware of how all this will interact. What I do in this studio affects everything else in this branding section. So if I have 2 events having to run out of the same brand and I hit show display names, it's going to happen for both. It's going to try to cross-pollinate. Just like if I go through and delete all of the banners in my Kingdom banner, it's going to delete all the banners across all the brands. So be aware of that. We have what's called a bug up here in the corner. That's the technical term that took me a long time to worry about. Again, this is not what I do, so anyone can do this. And it just changes up here. You need an SVG image, one that has that clear background. I was fortunate enough in that the one on our website worked, so I just shrank it and threw it up there. You do need to have a paid plan in order to not have just this logo. This isn't Streamlabs. This isn't a full OBS. There's not a lot of control. You know, I can't resize that or make it bigger. I can if I uploaded it, but you know, I can't move it over to the other side. And then we have our overlays. And next we're moving on to overlays. So to give a little understanding, it goes background level. Sorry, I gotta look at the right cam. Background layer, so your background, my nice pretty purple spacey theme. Cameras, and then overlays. So overlays, again, do what they say. They lay over everything. And they're good for, like, showing it onto your banner. They're really good for doing nice, pretty, like, scrolling down at the bottom, or a cool little, like, background theme. I don't use those in my live stream, but like, Cal uses them all the time. So they're really great ways to add an extra fancy touch. And those little extras are kind of what set us apart from just doing a Facebook live stream or a Zoom and then streaming it onto YouTube. These are the little things that make everything a little bit better. So as you can see, I've got my Believe logo from Ted Lasso. I put that up every time we go to start a production. I usually try to get a cover photo or a technical photo created for us. What I really like about this is I can keep the overlay up, and then I can see down at the bottom all of my screens or all of my feeds. So as we're setting up, if we need to go live, because we have a hard start on live, and I'll talk about that. If we need to go live but we're not ready, I can put this overlay up, and then I can still see all of my cameras getting built. I can check the sight lines. I can make sure everybody's in that needs to be in. We do have a copy of the bullying and harassment policy. I want to make a better one. And I like keeping, you know, a birthday cake around because sometimes people have birthdays and we want to celebrate it because we love our friends. Overlays are also good for round counters, you know, where a banner may not work. You can do a lot with them, and it's definitely something to explore. Yes, I always recommend a technical and a standby banner, if nothing else. Those are good ones to start with. And banners are uploaded or are sized for 1280 by 720 and max size of 20 megabytes. Definitely recommend if you're going to have somebody else build these for you, if you're not that artsy kind of style, you need to give that information, have that information on hand. That's what they're going to ask for. All right, next we're going to go down to video clips. And this is what I was talking about earlier, is that I don't like these. When we do video clips through here, they're going to lay over everything. They're even going to go over overlays. You're not going to be able to pause them or start them. If you have to stop and start again, they're going to start back at the beginning. So you can't hear any additional audio. It is the full focus, which isn't great when trying to show videos and discuss fights or talk about who's coming up. There's a lot of things it's not useful for. One thing it is useful for, of course, is our 30-second countdown. You can see how it hides over everything. Even if I try to show an overlay, you still don't see it. Now, I like to run that 30-second countdown when we're 20 seconds out. I like having, it's something that everyone in the stream can see, so no one's waiting. Like, they're not going to start going as soon as I say we're going live. They're going to start talking, even though it takes 10 seconds in order to catch up. So I like doing that. People don't mind seeing that 10-second countdown as their feed is starting. That's fine. That's expected. So use that to your advantage to get everything staged correctly. Background, again, 1280 by 720. And we have a variety of different ones. I like to use this in the morning, and then when we get closer to closing court, I'll switch over to this one. We do have a standby banner in the full background. Sometimes if things go really wrong, that works out as well. And we have different varieties of them. Use them to your advantage, make them pretty, make them part of the theme. Keep in mind if you're doing the cropped or the not screen, or if you're going to have moments like this. I tried to find one for Dragon's Lair, and this got a little much. And there was another one that also got a little much and a little dizzying. You don't want to make people nauseous. And here's that background music that we're talking about. They've got some good options. You can raise the volume and lower it. And it's just a real quick play, stop and start. But again, the thing to be aware of is that you can't upload. Say that again. The thing to be aware of is that you can't upload your own music. Now that may be a feature that changes by the time you all see this, because they're constantly updating. And now we go on to hopefully the final piece. Private chat. So private chat is one of the last things we're going to cover kind of over in here. And I don't like it. I think these 2 inches is just not enough space between public comments and private chat. I have used it on rare occasion, but really there's got to be better methods of communication, and the risk of something being posted publicly is just too great. It's a hectic moment when you're trying to produce, and that little bit of space just doesn't seem enough for me. Also, if someone's on a phone, the private chat feature is kind of buried. It's hard to get to. It takes away a lot of your other options. I just don't like using it and recommend you don't use it whenever possible. So I've come back out to this main page so that we can demonstrate how to go live and how to build a broadcast. It's pretty simple. I'm going to start with create a broadcast. I'm going to do a new one. And you can see all of my different destinations. Now we can stream up to 8 of them at one time. For now, I'm just going to go ahead and hit the sisters interview because they are awesome, wonderful people and are letting me utilize this for that. So I'm going to test live stream for tutorial. You can have your title say whatever you want. I recommend you keep it very, very clear and obvious. We do have a limitation of 8 hours on Facebook for Facebook Live and 12 hours for YouTube. That is YouTube and Facebook's limitation. What this means is a lot of full day events need to get cut in half. So for 12th night, we had a Friday night court, we had a Sunday, or a Saturday morning, a Saturday evening, and then a Sunday fight practice one. So it's really important that you make it very clear. Like I do Saturday, 12th night court. When people look at just the massive amount of events you make and all the links and all the posts, you really need to think about how is someone on a phone that may not be the most comfortable utilizing a phone, how can they quickly find what you need? How do we make sure that anybody who shows up on the Saturday night feed doesn't miss the Sunday morning feed, and vice versa. Also, if you are having 2 separate feeds on the same day, once the first feed ends, I like to put up a little banner or an overlay, even if I can leave it running. Put up that banner or overlay and say, please join us on this next feed with a link to it. Just kind of make sure that you get all the engagement, all the people that you need to have available, you get them available. Description. That's, again, fairly self-explanatory, but one thing I want to do is put nice flowery words, say thank you for joining us for the live stream of May Crown. You can view, we have court Monday morning or Sunday morning, And then we have the fighting tournament, and then we have this, try to give them that little bit of what are we trying to cover and look for. You know, if we're not covering arts and sciences, is somebody else. We were lucky enough that our arts and sciences champion covered the arts and sciences on their own live stream, whereas we were focusing on the rapier tournament that was going on. Bring all that information in, make sure they know everything that's happening. Also, one of the big things is grab the different links. So if I've got 3 different links that I need for, 3 different days, 3 different live streams, I want to make sure I post all of them in every description. And that includes Facebook and YouTube. Now, why do I say we want to do Facebook and YouTube? Again, YouTube is public, whereas Facebook groups tend to be private. And also, streaming, our goal is to get people to watch this in their living room and make it a big, awesome thing for those that can't be on site, or even those that are on site and can't join in. So having YouTube is a lot easier to view. Most Rokus or smart TVs or Xboxes, they have a YouTube app that's really easy to pull up and find stuff on. Yes, you can cast from your phone to the TV, but it's going to drain your battery faster, and it's going to utilize your phone for the day, and that kind of makes it hard to watch. I don't want to sit there and watch something all day when I can't be on my phone sending awesome messages to my friends that are getting great awards. Something to consider. All right, so we're going to get to schedule for later, and I'm going to schedule it for a few minutes past once we get to that point. Otherwise, we can go live immediately. Facebook only allows you to schedule a week in advance. That's a really important thing to know. So if I have an event coming up next Saturday, now that it's Sunday, I can go ahead and start scheduling that. This is one of the biggest hiccups that we have, and it's on Facebook's side. Facebook does not allow starting more than 10 minutes late. Starting early is fine. So yeah, you can start early. If it goes live at 9 a.m., you can start at 8:55. However, if you try to start at 9:11, the event will have disappeared from the Facebook page, or it will say it has ended, and the link will die. You will have to create a whole new link and make sure everybody has access to it. That is incredibly difficult to do on the fly, and it's not what we want from people. It's too much extra work for them, it's too much extra work for us. So in my run of shows, I always list that 9:07 or 7 minutes after your live time is your absolute go live. Gives you that couple extra minutes if you need it. Again, it's the SCA, people don't expect us to start exactly on time, but you don't want to start more than 7 minutes late. Just go live, put up your technical overlay, put a little banner that says we're still having difficulties, court will begin shortly, whatever you need to keep that link alive. 1280 by 720, upload a thumbnail image, and again, have fun with this, make it something great and useful. This was what we used for Kingdom Arts and Sciences. I'm going to upload a picture of Spruce, the adorable baby goat that was at Kingdom Arts and Sciences. Schedule a start time. Again, you can go up to a week out for Facebook. So we've got, I'm going to set this to go live at 1. Okay, so they need to start at least 10 minutes from now. I don't want to take all that time. So I'm going to turn off my schedule for later. We're just going to go live immediately. Real quick though, I want to show YouTube. So I'm going to customize for each destination. And you can see we have that privacy public, unlisted private. Schedule for later, we have the same options that we do for Facebook as we do on YouTube. I'm going to unclick that. And you can see how easy it is just to click and add and change them. So we're going to go ahead and create broadcast. Now we can just do a recording only. I want to go live because I want to showcase what it looks like on Facebook, on YouTube, on all of that. Okay, and you can see I'm now in our new studio, Test Live Stream 4 tutorial. This is a test broadcast for my tutorial video. I just want to let everyone know that they probably shouldn't be watching this, or if they do, it's going to be very boring. So up here, we can still edit some of our options. We can schedule for later, we can change our title and description, and add more destinations on the fly. And of course, save changes. We can ready to go live, we can edit or remove if we want to pull some more of that back. It's functionally the same thing. One thing to be aware of, Facebook permissions populate pretty quickly, usually within half an hour. YouTube can sometimes take 24 to 48 hours, so make sure you get your permission scheduled ahead of time. You'll need to have whatever the email account that Streamyard is running under be added to your YouTube channel, and vice versa. It's a little finicky. Streamyard has better documentation on it than I'm going to get into. I'm just going to give a real brief example of what I would do when I actually go live, just so everyone kind of knows and understands it. So I'm going to put We Are Live banner up. Actually, I'm not going to put the We Are Live banner up, sorry. Now is when I'm going to go into my countdown. Hello everyone. If you're watching this as part of a YouTube tutorial, then you'll see how going live takes almost 10 seconds to actually click onto and for everything to initiate. That's why I like making sure all of my people know with the little We Are Live banner, as well as that countdown. Doing that countdown and having it run into our live time makes it so that people don't immediately start in. Because if I say we're live, they're going to want to immediately start talking, and we're going to miss that first 5 to 6 seconds. Now, for all of you that are watching on the Sisters interview Facebook page, you can leave. This is just me doing a tutorial. Otherwise, you can stay and watch. Either way, enjoy. So we do have the option to end the broadcast. Real nice, real easy. You can see that we have our live viewers up here in the corner. I don't know who the two that are watching are. I'm assuming it's Ashaksi and Rifkin. And you can see our live time. Now, up in the corner here, if we had been able to schedule for later, you would have seen a countdown and then a count up. So it would be counting down, I think, about an hour ahead of time. That, you know, you have 30 minutes, you have 15 minutes left, you have seconds left. That's usually what I use to determine when I roll my video. And then it'll also say how long after your start time. Again, that's very, very important for Facebook, because if you don't go live within 10 minutes, you will lose your link. And I'm going to end the broadcast because I can't think of anything else that we need to cover for going live. So I'm going to go ahead and end that. Thank you, 3 people for watching. I'm really curious. 4 people. We have so many people watching. The Sisters is very popular. All right, everyone. Take care. So for those watching the tutorial, how did it go, good or bad? You can provide that feedback as needed. You get this broadcast has ended. We see our likes. We get our share. We can download the recording. We can embed and share, or we can view on Facebook. And then we can return to our dashboard. So I'm going to go ahead and view on Facebook. And we can see what it looks like on Facebook. I am an admin on the page. I had to be in order to actually stream. So it looks a little different than a regular person would. Looks like we do have a comment. Potentially. This is probably just my computer lagging. I'm going to pause. And if we go back here, we can see the comment. We can highlight it. We'll get the little notification that we have started getting them. So we can find it again back here in our past broadcasts. And again, we can view on Facebook. So the view on Facebook link is the link that we would want to copy and paste into the description on YouTube, as well as for any extra days if we have multiple days running. One thing that I do like doing is creating just a virtual test studio when I'm trying to demonstrate what this looks like, or get people used to it, or onboard the awardees so they know how we see everything, or how they're going to work and function in this. These are the ones that I would use, the virtual test studios. So with that, I think I've demonstrated all that I need to for this section. One thing I want to touch on real quick is what it is and is not good for. Give me a pause real fast. There we go. Now you get my pretty face again. Streamyards is really great for obviously live streaming. It's for if you need to watch something, if you don't need a lot of interaction between your audience and your participants. And that's really the key. If you were teaching a class and you wanted good interaction and back and forth, maybe use a Zoom. If you're teaching a class because you just want a solid recording and you're probably not going to be answering a ton of questions and you just want to get through what you're doing, this is a great option. It's great for virtual courts where you just need that interaction between a few people. It is great if you want to do a fashion show kind of style, where you have a couple of people sitting on the side talking about what they're wearing, who they're wearing, why that brocade is correct versus why this brocade is incorrect, and they want to share pictures for it. This is also a really great option for that. If you have a Borough Council meeting, probably not the best one. If you want breakout rooms, this isn't the right thing for you. You're going to stream one thing at a time, more or less. So that's it. That's kind of just the basic rundown on how StreamYards works, how we utilize it, or how I utilize it in my live streaming. My goal for this series and my framework is to have something I can pass off to other kingdoms and the society so that we can go, this is how easy it is, this is how you can make it happen. And I encourage everyone to start making this happen. If SCA wants to survive and continue to thrive and grow, like I know we all want it to, we got to start getting more used to that ESCA, that digital medium, and meeting the people where they're at. And that's online, that's Twitch and TikTok and Twitter and YouTube and Facebook. And I think this is a great way of getting us to that point. It's also a great advertisement tool. So I'm going to be conducting a series of tutorials on here. The first one in the series is this. It's the basics of StreamYard. The second one I'm going to talk about building up your team as well as the gear that you need. In the third one, I'm going to go over actually producing it the day of, stuff you're going to need to take care of and think about, and kind of cover some of the different roles and responsibilities between moderators, producers, directors. And the fourth one is going to be the prep work that you have to do. And there is a good amount of it. Right now, I'm kind of the only one that knows this and knows how to do this, which is why I'm making this series. So much of that work is falling on me, and it gets a lot. But many hands make light work. Teamwork makes the dream work. You can start farming out some of the stuff of, hey, can you build these slides for me? Hey, can you contact and wrangle our on-site team and start checking our gear? There's a lot of ways to make it so that this job is not as demanding and as big, and it's far more easy to handle. You just need a good support team. So please stay tuned for those. I'm hoping to get them all up at one time. And I'm going to do the one thing that I always tell people not to do. I highly recommend you don't call out your mistakes. You don't necessarily need to apologize for them. If the camera cuts out, you don't need to apologize to bring it back in. This is my first time doing a recording like this, so I am going to apologize because this is not awesome. But it's going to be good enough for now. And when I learn a little bit more, because I'm sure I will after 4 more of these, I'm probably going to come back and redo this. So stay tuned for any updates. Hope you all enjoyed. If you have questions, let me know. Reach out to me on Facebook as well. I am Jed Heimkiss on Facebook, and I'm in the Kingdom of Vontier, and I'm known as the Court Technomancer, because that is an awesome title, and I encourage you, if you're going to do this, to get that awesome title as well. All right, everyone. Thank you very much.